Hello and welcome to Mark No Horsemanship. Here we are with Jackie. Jackie came to me. She's a 4-year-old or 3-year-old. Can't remember horses' years, but anyway, Jackie came to me pretty disturbed. She'd been kind of roughhoused a little bit, and she's just kind of, on top of that, I think her nature, she's just kind of a little bit of a hot mare. Me and the owner were talking the other day about it, and not to say anything negative, she's coming around real nice. I think she's going to be okay, but she does have a little bit of a motor, and that's okay. There's a place for that. The thing is can you control that motor? And that's what today is about, today's session. The other day when I rode her, it was right after I talked to the owner. I had never ridden her since she's been here in a bridle. I've just had a little open hackamore on her. And she, to my surprise, when I got on her, I found out that she was almost too sensitive to the bridle. Now, how can one be too sensitive to the bridle? Well, it's been my better judgment over the years that sometimes when they're started with a harsh bit too fast, too hard in the wrong hands, you can get them to a point to where it's not a good sensitivity to the bridle. It's actually a dangerous one. What do you mean by that? Well, a horse that's finished, to me, a finished horse, you won't even have to do anything hardly with the reins. It'll all be with your body, with your legs. It starts at the knee, you enforce it with the calf, and then if you need to be, you reinforce it with your heel. So to me, a horse that's been started with too harsh of a bit, with the wrong kind of hands on it, they're responding to that bit, but it's in a dangerous way. It's too much. There's no release there. Once they start and they commit to whatever you're asking them to do, it's done really quickly. Like with her backing up, she don't have to the naked eye, you would think, man, that mare backs up good, but it's almost too much. She's afraid not to. And so she overdoes it, and she's just over-expressive in the bridle. I don't mean she's throwing her head around. Well, she's doing that too, but she's just too sensitive to the bridle in the wrong way. And I hope that makes sense. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these long lines on her. You can see I've got them hooked to the snaffle. Just got a nice soft. It can be harsh, like I said in another video. But with the way I'm going to use it today, this D-ring snaffle will be just fine. But what I'm going to do is just walk her around with this, because she actually needs to be desensitized to the pressure on the bit. And I know that's opposite of what we usually talk about. We usually talk about getting them nice and soft. But there's a line there that kind of soft, she's not really soft as much as she's overreactive to it. She's overexposed to the bridle. So today we're going to I ain't going to dull it, but I'm going to numb that just a little bit, or start to, and I'm going to ground drive her around with this bit in her mouth and just let her get a little bit, how can I say it again, just numb to it just a little bit to where she's not so overexposed, acting sensitive to the bridle, to the bit. So, because the other day I felt like my life was in danger. Not because of her running off, but if you had to pull on her in any certain way, she just really overreacts to it, and it's not a good feeling. So we'll get these long lines down right here and just get started on Miss Jackie here. Just want to flip that one out there. Already got her hooked up here to save a little bit of time. I like to make sure there's no kinks in these ropes or no knots like that one just got in. If you're not careful, you'll get them wrapped around your leg or your foot or something, and then that's not no good. So I like to make sure all my lines are through out there without any kinks or knots. Got this halter on her. I usually don't like all that on her head, but I'm going to do that in case she was to get in a jam. I can come in here and I can help her, and I'll have a halter to help her with. So it's hard to do anything when a horse gets in a jam with a bit in her mouth. So just going to come in here and get all this tied up neatly where it won't come undone. Make sure our saddle's tight enough. Like I said, I'm not going to ride her, so don't need to be super tight. But I have long line Jackie before, but not with a bridle. So we're just gonna move her out right here. And again, just the hanging of these lines on her mouth after she gets over this rope bend behind her rump right here, just the hanging of these lines on her mouth will help her get a little bit more, less, let's put it that way, less sensitive to that bridle. I'm going to try not to, add any pressure to her. I'm just going to stay back here and stay in a good distance where I'm not on her in her mouth. And I'm just going to let that bit kind of jostle around and work in her mouth just a little bit. Again, it'll just get her a little bit less sensitive to it, less overexposed to it. How do horses get that way? Again, I think it was the wrong hands on a big bit, and it can really make them scared of that bit, and it can overexpose them. And the sad part is, a lot of people think it's good. They think they got a well-trained horse, or that they're really doing a wham jam of a job training that horse. And really, it's dangerous. It's really dangerous. So you can see Jackie, she just likes to kind of flop around in here. She's got a pretty good motor. And we'll let her settle in here just a little bit, and then I'll start working her mouth just a little bit with this. But just these lines, like I said, just these lines on her mouth will help her get over that oversensitiveness, if that's the right word, too sensitive of the bit. Yes, Bert. I can't hear you.
Your dad was calling you. I was just letting you know.
It's okay. I'll call him back from home. So right here, I'm going to turn her. You can see how she likes to put that nose up in the air. And she's just a little bit too sensitive. Like I said, just them long lines working in that mouth will help her. Turn her right here. Now she likes to overreact to that bit a little bit. Just gonna wait on her right there. I used to get a lot of this done from the saddle, and I still can. I'm not scared, or I'm not worried about it. But I found out that how to work smarter and not harder. I love to ride horses, but my days of taking big risk are over. I still do take some risk, of course. I'm getting ready to take the first ride on a horse today that's never been ridden, which I'm going to document. So I still do take chances, but anytime I can think of some way to work a little smarter and not harder, I jump on. So right here, we're just going to teach her how to be a little bit less sensitive. Like right there, we're going to see how she likes to back up. That's what she was doing. She's never been taught to bend. I don't like it when I get on a horse and I'm asking them to turn and they're backing up. Don't care for that. So we're gonna get in here to get her a little bit better at bending. I can't bend her like I can on her back with these lines, but I can put a little bend in her and teach her just to be a little bit less sensitive to this bit. So I'm gonna do a lot of turning right here. She just needs to quit being so jumpy. She needs to quit being so reactive. And these long lines are pretty good about teaching a horse to settle down. Just settle down. Right here, we're going to work her on this wall just for a minute. You can see her starting to really drop over and relax a little bit. I don't want to make my brag, but y'all watch how I work with these ropes. This one here now, if you don't watch, you can step across it. So it takes a while to get yourself good at these ropes. So I'm just going to stay in here until that right there. That looked pretty nice. until she quits overreacting. Now she's dropping over. We'll bend her right here, see how she backs up? Don't want that. You might think, well, she can't bend. The wall's there. Well, she needs to learn how to get herself into position to where she can bend. It helps these horses think about where their feet are, how to maneuver. Now right here, I'm just going to ask her to bend this way, straighten that hip, 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 this way. See right there, she didn't even disengage that hip. Right here, it's all right. If I have to pull on her, it's okay. Like I said, this is all about getting her a little bit less sensitive to this bridle. You can see she's waiting. She's waiting on a correction here. She's got her tongue over a bit. That's okay. If need be, I'll put a canvassing on her, or she'll keep that mouth shut. I'll just stand here and see if she'll get that tongue situated. Got to get her a little bit less sensitive to everything. She's just been overexposed to riding. She's been overexposed to the bridle. She's been overexposed to everything. And actually, these are harder to turn around than a colt that's never been ridden. I'd much rather get on something that's fresh and not been presented a bad deal in life. Just going to ask her to bend right there, break over at that pole, and maybe back up a little bit. If you're not careful, you can get them a little bit heavy with these lines. And I want y'all to pay attention to her demeanor right here. You see how she's kind of standing at attention and she's waiting on something. You know, I don't like to see these horses waiting on something. Right there, she dropped over and she's relaxed. Now, where I quit her at during this session is very important. I'm going to ease in here. I can't stand to see my side pieces of a bridle not in the keeper. So I'm going to ease in here and put this thing in its keeper here. This looks kind of amateur. What? Burgundy said I was an amateur.
I did not.
But anyway, we're going to come in here and just teach her to not be quite so reactive right there to that pull right there. You know, it scares her. That's a little bit better. A little bit better. See, that's what I run into riding her the other day. I was trying to get her to bend. You're right here, she's got a real problem right here. There we go. Now, I don't know if y'all can hear her grunting and the carrying on. See, she's always waiting for a correction or a hit of some sort. Right here, we're just going to bend her, right there. We'll bend her right here, just like on your bikes. Your release ain't quite as good, but that's okay. What are we doing? We're numbing her a little bit. We're going to numb her to this deal. I think she's still got her tongue over a bit. You know, there's one thing I heard Clinton Anderson say one time, and I kind of sometimes agree with it. Sometimes I don't, but in this case, she got her tongue over it a bit. She'll learn to put her tongue back under it. Now, you got to keep that in mind that you don't want to, you know, harm them in any way, because you get in there under that tongue's kind of their protection, kind of the cushion with this bit, just a little bit. You just can't get too rough. See, I like that, how she finally started giving to that without being right there. I like how she dropped that head down. I hope the camera got that right there. That's nice. Waiting on her to let down. Chewing on that bit. This is going to be good for her. I think a few days of this, just to kind of numb her and to that bridle and that bit to where she's not quite as overexposed to it. So I hope you enjoyed today's session. I'm going to let that be a pretty good little session with her. I hope you understand it. If you don't, you can message me and I'll try my best to try to explain and go into more detail about what I'm doing. But again, just to recap, she's been overexposed and made too sensitive to a bit by the wrong hands with a big bit, I would imagine. Or even if it was with a snaffle. These snaffles can be what my buddy Dylan calls a nutcracker on their bottom jaw, you know. So even if she's only been rode in a snaffle bit, she may not even have a big bit in her mouth. But that could be worse than a big bit.
And you got to take into consideration her natural personality. She's a nervous, hot mare anyways.
Yeah, she's kind of nervous and hot. So with somebody with heavy hands, always putting her in an uncomfortable situation, it's got her overreactive. So, but I think long lining her a few days, I think it's really going to help her. So, hope all that makes sense. It's just trial and error, folks. You just got to keep working them and finding things that work or don't work, and go the route that works. So again, I thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed today's video, and God bless you.